Fashion people, hello, hello. My name is Gabriel Barredi and I'm the fashion designer and owner of Jacquet Fashion here in Vienna, Austria. And in today's video, I want to talk about something very emotional and a decision that you maybe are thinking to do, which will change your life. And that is about fashion education at a fashion school. And is it really worth to go to a fashion school? I want to give you some examples of what I did and of course give you some tips and tricks maybe that will guide you maybe to choose or and ask the right questions. Let's put it that way. So let's, without further ado, jump into the video. I would be totally wrong here on YouTube if I wouldn't say, please subscribe to the channel. This channel can only grow if you're subscribing, if you ask questions, and I will answer them. So please give a thumbs up and ask questions. I'm always there to answer them. So let's jump into the video. Many of you are thinking that they want to be a fashion designer and that fashion is the coolest thing on the planet. And I also think that fashion is a really, really great thing. Some of you might think, are on the beginning of their careers and think, should I attend a fashion school? And is attending a fashion school worth the effort? And I want to give you some of my experience. I wish I would have had this questions on my hand when I was choosing my fashion school. I did study in Berlin many years ago. I'm graduated in 2008. Wow, that's a long time ago. And I studied at SMOD Berlin, which was a totally life-changing experience for me. And at that point, I was not directly out of school. I have already finished some studies. It was very expensive for me and I had to pay it on my own. So I had to really think of, wow, can I afford that? This is a big step for me. The first question, if you choose fashion or if you're choosing fashion school, I mean, all these questions, you have to decide it on your own. I can't give you any strict rules, but you should ask some questions. And I think one very important question is, what do you really learn? This is a very, very important question. So is the school, are they only doing like designs and mood board and how to set up a collection? Or do they also teach you really in depth how a garment is made, like on pattern? Do they teach you how to drape and so on? So all because let's put it that way. If you're doing fashion, there are always two sides. The creation side, marketing and creation, I would put this in one thing. And the other thing is the real making, so pattern cutting, sewing, and so on. At SMOD Berlin, we had they called it Stylismus and Modellismus, so they divided it into the real the real creative work, like all the researches and mood boards and collection setup and how a collection is made, and the real pattern making and sewing. We had to sew so much, and I think it's very important to know how a garment is made. This is like the very, very important. Also, if in your career you will not sew every garment, I hope so, that you will sell, but you have to talk to a lot of factories and producers. And if you don't know how to do it or what's possible, then it's going to be really, really difficult for you. So please also know how garments are really made and also embrace technologies. I mean, how to draw a pattern by hand is very important. How to drape on a mannequin is very important. But it's also important to know how you can make that digitally. And there are plenty of software and plenty of new technologies that you can use, and you should learn that. So this is a very important question. So what is the main topic of your education, let's say? And the second thing is, you should question, is there any link to industry or to labels or to, yeah, to the fashion business itself? We always had projects in school with different types of the industry. We had a project for some different companies. We had for the theater a big project, and so on and so on. So is there a link to real industry? Because then everything makes more sense. If you're in a school, this is like a safe place and a safe environment, but the industry is very hard and tough, and so you should get in contact with the real world very soon. We also had to do internships and working experience during the stay, which is great, I think, a great opportunity. We had to search for them ourselves, which is also good because then you see a lot more real time, so a real world experience. So question if there is any link to industry or the real fashion business, let's say. This is a very important question I would ask. Then a very, let's say, emotional question as well. Studying fashion can be quite expensive, and you should question yourself, can I afford it? Fashion is nothing that can be done with zero money. And fashion educations tend to be very, very, very expensive. So are you really willing to spend that much on a graduation collection and so on? This is a question I would really ask yourself because, in the end of the day, it's a lot of money. And do you have that money? Or, this is a very important question I would also ask. Number 4. This is also a very personal question. When I was doing my studies in Berlin, I couldn't do anything except working for fashion school. I couldn't have a side job because the program was so intense. So I think and I think this is also the real world. I mean, this is sometimes not a 9-to-5 job. We have to work extremely crazy hours. So do you have like the possibility to work like really on your studies, and can you make everything possible to focus 100% on that? Because I think it's very if you really do a fashion education that is really intense and really good, you can't work something in the evening at a bar job or something. I think that's not possible. You have to focus on that, and that's really something you have to consider. I think that's a very important question. And the last question is also, are there any graduates that are, made it in the fashion world? I mean, this is also something very important. A lot of students, I hear that they are frustrated after after their studies, and they stop working in the fashion industry because they know how to set up a collection, but maybe they don't know how to market it or don't know how to find a job and so on. So will school also prepare you for, let's say, finding a job or helping you in a way, or teaching you business relevant things that you will have to know when you set up or make yourself your own collection? So this is a very important question. So do they only focus on the creative work, or also focus on marketing and also that point? Because in the end of the day, it's great if you're the most creative person on the planet, but if you don't know how to sell, it's going to be very, very difficult, especially when you're self-employed and have your own label and stuff. So I would consider also, has the program some kind of marketing or selling classes? Let's put it like that. where they teach you how to really go in business. This is a very important thing. In the end of the day, if you have a label, you have to sell. And from my experience in fashion school was you really have to want it. You really have to focus it. And you really, were so many students who began and then they didn't graduate because it was tough. You had to work all weekends, all evenings, and it was really, you have to know it why you're doing this. And if you start and after 2 years you find out, wow, it's too much stress because it's a really can be so emotional. When I came to fashion school, there was always somebody crying in the corner and having a nerve breakdown, and crazy things happened. Yes, that's the reality. But if you're not prepared for real life, then yeah, it's gonna be very, very hard for you. So fashion education can be very intense, very hard, very expensive. So I would really suggest, if you're doing like a formal training in a fashion school or university or whatever, really think 3 times if this is the path you want to go and if you're wanting to do this effort. It's tough, and I've been that road. You can ask me anything. I'm here to answer questions that I know, and yeah. I hope this video made it a little bit more clear for you what's really important if you want to choose your fashion education, and ask questions. I'm there to yeah, answer your questions. Have a great day or evening or whenever you're watching, and thumbs up, and stay tuned for the next video.